Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Creating Wealth. And we have our amazing coach and mentor in real estate, Robert Allen. How are
Hello,
you
everybody.
doing? So, today we're going to talk about how we go about buying a property. What to do before buying a property. So, how do you go about studying the market?
Every market is different. Even cities are different. You have neighborhoods, and they have certain characteristics about that neighborhood. What you're looking for is a home that's below median price. So I don't want to buy in the expensive ranges. I want to buy, in the normal kind of middle class neighborhoods. So that might mean that I need to go outside of a major metropolis area. So if I'm in a major city like San Antonio or Miami or something like that, more than likely I'll be buying something that's a little further out, a little further away, because I want to get into the lower price neighborhoods, below median price. And when I'm looking for properties like that, I'm looking for a highly motivated seller, and that's hard to find. Because you drive by a house, how do you know that owner is highly motivated?
That's right. It's not like they're advertising right there.
Exactly. Is there got a for sale sign on it? How do I know? When I talk to the realtor, and about 90% of the properties are going to be listed through a real estate agency. And remember, I've shared with you before, I'm not a fan of real estate agents who are not creative. I'm okay with the ones that are creative, that understand that we want to understand my game anyway. Mm-hmm. How to buy with little or no money down. I want to use creative financing, which is rare. Frankly, it's rare. So I'm looking for a real estate agent who is an investment owner, him or herself. Do they own a rental property? Do they own their own home? These are questions you need to ask your realtor, and the realtor is going to help you find neighborhoods where properties are available for sale. I want to go into below median price areas, and then I'm going to do some double checking. I want to find out what are the houses selling for in that neighborhood, and you can do this fairly quickly. For example, I did a challenge where I was doing a television show in Washington, D.C. And it was the next morning, like 9 o'clock in the morning, and it was going to be broadcast to all of Washington, D.C. And I thought, what if I bought a property tonight? Let's buy a property tonight.
Oh, wow.
Let's take it tomorrow, and I can show them what to do. So I got a newspaper that night and started looking for ways in which I could find highly motivated sellers. I found a property, called them on the phone. I said, where are you located? It was just outside of Washington, D.C., the main area. I got in a taxi and I drove to that house. On the way to that house, I started looking for other for sale signs. And I would stop and ring the doorbell and find, I see there's a for sale sign here. What's it going for? Why are you selling? I'm trying to figure out roughly what are the values in that neighborhood. And so I'm going to do an appraisal. I'm going to do a rough thumbnail appraisal of what that neighborhood is selling for. What are they selling? What's is it 200? Is it 500? Is it 700? What is the general? What's the general? Yeah. When you do an appraisal, you do comps. A comp is a comparative analysis. You find out whether the property that is being sold, it's being listed for sale, how does it compare to other properties that have sold recently in that same neighborhood. Now you can get software that has listed every single property available in the entire United States. And it's fairly inexpensive. It's $100 a month. It's really not that much. Yeah, it's crazy. And so literally you can go into a neighborhood and you can find out what the comps were. You can find out what properties have sold for recently. Were they a fix and flip, and how were they? So it's kind of like Zillow, but Zillow is very inaccurate. I do not like to rely on Zillow, but what I like to rely on is some really nitty-gritty detailed analysis, and you'll just have to do some online searching for that. Whomever you are listening to this. there are people, there are companies that have literally mapped out every single property in the United States, find them, figure out. I think Real Flow is one. Some people that I know, and you would literally look without driving through a neighborhood. You can literally do what I did, several years ago when I bought that first property in Washington D.C. I could have gone onto my computer, literally without having to drive to actually do the analysis, my own rough analysis. I could look at the computer. I could see what things have sold for recently. And it just tells all the information you need. And so you need to determine whether the price that's being offered for that property is in line with other properties that have sold recently. It may be way out of whack. It might be $100,000 over value. And so you need to do some analysis on that. When I find a property to buy, I'm interested in the 5 areas of analysis. I'm interested in its location. Is it a neighborhood that I would want to live in? Maybe below what I would normally live in, but at least it's a clean neighborhood.
At least.
It's livable, exactly.
Not a lot of crime and
so
things like that.
I want location. I want to look at the property to see what its condition is. That's the second area. What does it need a lot of work?
All right.
Because that will go towards my down payment. I mean, I'll have to apply some more money eventually. What about the financing? How does the seller want his or her money? Are they willing to carry some financing? Are they willing to take a motorhome I have as part of the down payment? Are they willing to be creative in any way, or do they just require cash? And sometimes that's the case. And if they do require cash, then I've got to make sure I buy that property below the market, at least 10% below the market. Right. So that's how, by doing the analysis of the neighborhood, the location, I can find out what things have been selling for. I want to find out, is the seller flexible? What forces the seller to sell? Why are they selling? This is a question that most sellers don't like to have asked. It's almost like that's none of your business. This for when you're talking to somebody, you're very sensitive to the fact that this is private information and that they don't need to share any of it with you. But you would ask it in a soft way. You'd say, I know this probably isn't really right for me to ask, but I'm just curious. What were you planning on doing with the money that you earned from this property? Where is it going to go? Well, having the answer to that question, they could say, well, I've already bought a home. I've already bought another home. So I'm going to be investing this. Really, what's the rate of return you're hoping to get? I don't know, 3, 4, 5%, 8%, whatever. You now start finding out that if they don't need the money, then maybe there's a nothing down technique in there. Why don't I give you a small down payment, but then you be the bank, you finance it, the equity that you have in your property. I'll give you 6% on your money, and then we'll set up a 5-year balloon. So you'll earn 6% until that time, and then 5 years from now we'll balloon it. I'll refinance it. You'll get all your money. In other words, by finding out the seller's motivation, their seller's flexibility, I can negotiate a nothing down deal. That's okay. True. So I want the condition, I want the location, I want the financing, I want the flexibility. There's one other area that I want to ask when I'm looking at a property. And with these are 4 of the 5 areas. What that's giving you is this a good deal or not? So what is a good deal? A good deal is where you as an investor are buying that property in such a way that you can increase its value rapidly, so that if you put down 5% down and the seller carries the financing, you don't have to have a hard money loan from a bank that's hard to get. Then you put some of the money to fix it up, increase its value, increase its income. you can take a property that has only 5% equity in it, and within 6 months or less, you can increase it so it has 50% equity in it. You increase its value by 50%. How do you do that? Well, you increase its value or you increase its income. Okay, so let's take both of those. If I increase its value, I increase the way it looks to a potential buyer. So they like it because I've done the cosmetic work to make it look good. It didn't cost a lot of money, but I show it to a new buyer and they go, yeah, I'd be willing to pay a higher price. They don't know what you paid for it. So whatever you're offering it for, it could be 20% more than you paid for it. It could be 30% more. It could be 50% more.
Which is more than enough to cover whatever you spent on the fixings.
The other option is to increase its income. Now, how do you do that? Because most people have never done this before. They've only thought about renting a home. So they rent it out to a homeowner. Therefore, the traditional rent is usually, $1,000 a month, $2,000 a month, $3,000 a month. It's pretty stable. And the market for a rental home is pretty consistent. I mean, it's easy to find out what the market would bear for a traditional home. How do I increase it above that? Because when I increase it above that, I turn it into an investment property that is based upon its income, not its cost to replace it. Most traditional real estate, single-family home, it's based on its cost to replace it. If I buy it today at $300,000, for me to replace it, I'd have to spend $300,000 to have another one similar to this. But if you increase its income, for example, you turn it into an assisted living situation, which means you have to have certain government permissions and licenses and things like that. But now you turn it into an assisted living situation where you're now renting out to 3 tenants, not just one. You have a 3-bedroom house, so you're renting it out to 3 different tenants. They could be autistic, meaning you'd have to now have a specialist to be able to help with these people who are living there. You'd have to have a whole system to take care of. So it's a business now. It's not a single-family home. Mm-hmm. It requires more work. It requires more risk. Maybe I'm going to rent it out to, mother has gotten a little older, and now we're going to move her not into a home, but we're going to move her into a single-family home with 2 other tenants. Right. So it's more like, it's not, where there's 100 other older people there and they have a kitchen and everything else. It's mom wants to, it's an interim space between that and a nursing home. So now I can rent out each bedroom for a couple $1,000, right? So now instead of me making $2,000 for that home, I get $6,000 from the same home. Wow. Now remember, you have to have
the permissions,
separate,
of course.
It has to be approved, and you have to get licenses, and then you have to have some extra income, and you might have to have ramps built for wheelchairs and things like that. But boy, if I could increase its rent by 3 times, what happened to the value of that property? I'm not selling a property, I'm selling a business. Mm-hmm. So now I can maybe double the price of that property. And it immediately doubles in value because now I'm selling the business. You want to have a business of assisted living? Well, right. Here it is. It's all set up. It's ready to go. It's already rented. All you need to do is move into it. You'll spend X amount for that real estate, but you'll also have this extra business on top of it. Mm-hmm. Or you could rent it out to weekly visitors, or you could do a VRBO. So there's a lot of other ways to increase the rent. And so by doing that, you increase its value. And most people don't think of that when it comes to a single-family home. They see a 10-unit apartment building. They see they can rent out that. They see how they may be able to increase their rent in an apartment building, but they never have thought that a single-family home has many other ways of generating income that could dramatically increase the value of that property. So when I'm looking, back to the question is how do you find a property? I'm looking at all the possibilities of what I could do with that property. What am I going to do? Am I going to rent it out to a single family that moves into it? I'm going to get another way to increase its value is to do a lease option. In fact, that's what I highly recommend you do. A property that a couple moves into with the hope that they can buy that property eventually. So you have a 5-year option. You go rent the home for 5 years. If you're not late on your payments, I'll apply 10% of all the money you pay towards your eventual purchase price. So you're paying me $1,000 a month. I'm going to give you $100 a month towards. So eventually, 5 years from now, that's $1,200 a year times 5 years. That's $6,000. And eventually, this property, you'll be able to apply that $6,000 towards eventual purchase price. It's kind of like a down payment that you had them make. Well, then you're going to pick a price that is higher than its current today value. You're going to go, you buy it for $300 today, it's going to be $400,000 5 years from now. But you'll be able to apply $6,000 towards your eventual purchase price, and you'll have a track record of renting regularly. And so the homeowner gets ways for them to start saving towards the purchase of that home. So now what I did is I automatically increased its value. See, I did it immediately. I didn't have to wait for it to go up in value. I said, today it's 300, 5 years from now it's 500. Right. And now what if things have gone up in value and it's worth more than 400?
I imagine that you would have to have a clause or something on the contract specifying those emergency cases.
You have locked in the price as an option. And therefore, if it's worth $500,000 5 years from now, you lose out. Mm-hmm. You do. The owner who's been living in there for 5 years has seen the property increase in value. They stay, they want to take care of it. That's the point. You want a tenant to take care of the property, not to leave you with a vacant, beat up, trashed property. You want them to want to stay there and to want to own it and to take care of it. Therefore, you not only can to pick a price that you think it will be worth 5 years from now, but you also get to have a higher rent. They'll pay more money in rent for a lease option than an ordinary person just renting the property. So when I'm looking at any property, I'm looking for the neighborhood first. I wanted the right kind of stable neighborhood. I'm looking for a home. I'm asking myself, what can I do with that property? How can I increase its revenue or increase its value rapidly? Do I lease option? Do I do a fix up? Do I do a fix and flip and immediately flip it? Do I increase its rent through the other ways I mentioned? Do I do a VRBO? Do I rent it out on a daily basis?
It's kind of like looking at the future of the property.
Exactly.
And the potential that it could have. And it's really cool that you do this way before you start even thinking on buying the property, because it's really good to have done your research on the location that you truly want to do. You truly study that area before you actually invest on it. I love it also how you mentioned that you get a hold of a real estate agent every now and then, as long as they're creative enough to kind of have more help with your investments. What other people would you consider to have on your team?
Oh, it's a great question.
When you're
you need
researching?
a team. You need a team. Remember, we talked about the importance of having a mentor.
Right.
And that's a person who can advise you on the investment itself. Is this a good deal? How can I increase its value? What are the ways of doing that? That's the mentor. Now, I need members of the team. A realtor is a member of the team. He or she is going to help you find the deal and bring that to you. And you want them to evaluate every deal based upon the 5 areas that I just explained to you. Condition of the property, location of the property, price of the property, how does it relate to its price, condition of the property, and seller financing. I teach my realtors a real simple little rule. It's got to score 11 out of 15. Each one of them gives up 3 points. 3. That's 15 points. It's got to score 11 out of 15 or I don't even want to look at it. I don't even want them to bring it to me, right? But if they bring it to me and it's 11, then I'm going to go look at it myself and I'm going to do some more analysis. I'm going to fix... I'm going to, check the location. I'm going to check the the comps in the area. So realtor's another one. What about a person to help you fix it up? I mean,
like a contractor?
Are you good at that? I'm not good at that. So I don't want to do that.
Right.
That means I'm going to have to pay somebody, and they're going to be more expensive than if I did it myself. Okay, so who can I find? So you're going to put your feelers out there. Who is a fix-up person? Who is somebody who's done this before? Do they have a track record? Are they inexpensive? Are they reasonable? Are they really high? You know, the more they are, more than the less profit you have. So you have to find somebody who can do that. I'm going to look at insurance people. I'm going to have somebody that insures it for me.
Yeah.
So who are they?
And maybe an attorney, I would say, if you get to a point that your investments are like way too big and you're like not entirely sure of the regulations of that place, you may need a real estate attorney to explain you what are
Totally.
the
Exactly.
laws.
I think it's smart to have a real estate attorney, somebody that you can go to, somebody that you keep on retainer, or maybe not retainer, but at least you know who they are. You go to them from time to time. They charge you their 100, 200, 300, 400, 500 an hour, you know, but it's usually it doesn't require a lot of time. They may be involved in the real estate transaction. Some states require an attorney, some don't. Sometimes you can go to a title company, which is another member of your team. The title company is a company that insures the title, meaning they guarantee that if you take title to it, the title is clean. That means nobody else is claiming an ownership in it or has a lien against it. So you pay for an insurance, and they literally insure that the title is clean. But they do a lot more than just doing that. They can sometimes be the escrow company where they close the deal for you. Therefore, you bring your paperwork to them. If the title company doesn't do an escrow, then you'll have to have a separate escrow company that does that. The title company can also provide for you the information that you might be able to get for yourself online, but the title company will help you find what are the comps. What are the properties that have sold recently? What's the feeling in that neighborhood? What's the general pricing in that neighborhood? They can help you with all kinds of things that they don't charge money for.
That's true.
So that's a member of your team.
Yeah, and I would say that it's always good to have a team to back you up in all of these real estate investments, because you may not have the experience that they have, but they can definitely help you get the best deals possible in the market.
It's worth the investment. It's minimal compared to the risk. Bring in a good team. Bring in a good team. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much again, Robert. And thank you to our audience. So let's get started on real estate. Just put your offers out there and generate more leads for yourself. You can definitely do it. See you on the next episode.
See ya.